just as a disclaimer before we go any further, I am a little sick. Don't have COVID this time, but I have something, some sort of cold or something. So I'm very congested and I have a little bit of a cough, but other than that, I'm fine. Like, I'm not, like, fatigued or anything. I feel okay, except for my throat and my nose. So I did think, I was like, I probably even should not be live today because it's probably not good for my throat that I'm talking. But I couldn't cancel because I have so much to say. How could I miss today's stream? But I do, and I've taken some Dayquil and it has helped, but I do need to take it again at 4 o'clock. So if someone could please remind me at like 4 if I forget, I need this. I need it very much. But here I am. I'm back after 2 weeks. If you didn't know, there was no stream last week if you missed the memo because I was getting married. Yay, there it is. There's my wedding ring. But I'm back. I'm married now. And I saw Hillary Duff. But I'm going to talk about that, the whole trip and stuff, during tonight's member stream. So if you want to come back for that, you can. It'll be at like 7 o'clock. YouTube will now let you do like a month free before having to pay for a membership. I don't know if that's like a limited time thing or whatever. But if you want to get in there and then you can cancel whenever you want, that is an option. But today we are focused. For this stream, we are focused on Euphoria because I missed 2 weeks. And I also have some tea here that I should be drinking because it's warm. I missed 2 weeks of Euphoria. So we gotta go through all that. And also, just before we get into it, as a quick aside, happy birthday, Tom Holland, and also happy Pride Month, everyone. First day of Pride. But also Tom Holland's birthday, and I am appreciative of Tom Holland. Specifically, well, he seems like a nice guy, and he seems like he's like a good actor or whatever. But also, he's taken good care of our girl Zendaya. Somebody should. Glad someone's being fucking nice to her. But I thought this was really sweet, so I guess he has a non-alcoholic beer brand, which I think I did know before, but I just kind of forgot, because, like, who is drinking non-alcoholic beer? I guess some people, I understand completely why you wouldn't want to drink alcohol. Like, I don't drink much alcohol. If I go out, I usually kind of get a mocktail or something, because I used to drink more, but it, like, really, ever since they legalized marijuana in Michigan, it's like, I'd rather just do that. Like, there's no hangover, nothing. Alcohol hurts. It really hurts. I did drink a little bit while I was gone. Like, I got married in Vegas, so I drank a little in Vegas. But I didn't get, like, super drunk, and I was fine. But it's always just, like, in the back of my head whenever I'm drinking anything alcoholic. I'm like, this could hurt me. And weed won't. Well, that's not true. Weed's not harmless. Don't take that from me. But it won't give you a hangover. Most people. It doesn't give me a hangover. But anyway, I don't like the taste of beer. I think it's nasty. So I don't really get why people want to drink a non-alcoholic version, but I guess some people like it. But this was really sweet. So with his non-alcoholic beer line, or non-alcoholic beverage line, I guess, he made a version for Zendaya because she also doesn't like beer. He said Zendaya, bless her, has never been a drinker, so she's never drank beer. She didn't love the beers we have on sale. The idea behind the shandies was to create something authentic at the company that Z could enjoy. Oh, that's so sweet. He made a drink just for his lady. Love that. So yeah, you take good care of her, Tom. And this was also just kind of funny, because if you remember, Jacob Elordi, I guess, injured his foot or something and couldn't be on the jury at the Cannes Film Festival. And so, someone at Vulture wrote this headline, Jacob Elordi cans plans, not in jury due to injury. That was very good. I just thought that I should use my fucking soundboard. I was already so bad at using it before and remembering to use it, but especially after 2 weeks off, I'm like, I forget that I even have it. Oh shit, I have to reset this. Good job to that writer, whoever wrote that. And then I also I put this in the document before last night's episode because it was just like an update from 2 episodes ago. If you remember that Nika King, who plays Rue's mom, she was in the episode 2 episodes ago for like a second, had like 1 line, even though there was all this build up to her being in the show again. And this character continues to get underused, but this is an update from 2 weeks ago. This is Nika King on her, I don't know, probably Instagram story or something, reacting to her own lack of screen time in that episode.
What happened? Wait, y'all. I just watched my episode that I've been promoting all week. And my mom over here clowning me. My mom is clowning me. She said the internet waited all this time for me to just say 1 line. Mom.
3 years.
3 years. Y'all, I can't do nothing but laugh. When your mama clown you, it's, I don't know. What, Ma?
No.
What?
What you want me to say? You ain't had nothing to say.
Who need enemies when you have a mother like this? Yep. You better be glad I have a sense of humor. You better be glad I got thick skin.
No, I'm just getting you ready for what's coming.
Yeah, I don't think that your mom is the true enemy. I think that would be Sam, who fucked you over. And your mom recognizes it. You do have to laugh, though. Fucking crazy. So let's... Oh, also, before we even get to that, this came out a few days ago, too. Sam Levinson reveals Maddie from Euphoria was intended to be blonde, with HBO execs initially doubting Alexa Demi for the role. He said, I remember pulling her aside and giving her some tips. I think she was wearing something red, and I knew that the execs would immediately think, oh, she's too Latin. So I told her, don't wear anything red to soften up what I knew would be their initial perception. Okay. Okay.
All right, let's move on.
But so these last 2 episodes, and for legal purposes, this is a joke. I don't think anyone should kill Sam Levinson, not even God himself. But I do think he should be kept far, far away from any television executive studio, any film studio, everything. Just, like, no more. No more. I think his career should die. But he can stay alive. But oh my fucking God. These last 2 episodes were so bad. The 7th episode, it wasn't as like... This episode, the most recent one, the finale, made me angrier. But the last episode before that was still just, like, not good. Like, it just wasn't well put together. And so, getting into that, I am going to give, like, a quick disclaimer. I made my notes kind of in chronological order of how they happen on the show, more or less. I think, for the most part, I've stayed pretty accurate to the chronology of the episode. But the way that the events of episode 7 happen on the show is, like, deliberately confusing for no reason. Like, he edited the scenes out of order, but not in a way that is, like, cool. It's not like Memento or something, where it's, like, a part of the narrative. There's no reason for it to be out of order, other than maybe he thought that was more interesting or something, but it's not. It's just confusing. I'm like, wait, where are these characters in time? I don't even know, like, what events happen in what order. It's just dumb. It's dumb for no reason. And I can, like, kind of, this is the thing, too, is, like, the people who are still defending this show will use, like, a media literacy argument all the time, where they'll be like, well, if you're actually paying attention, then you can figure out that this event happened before this. I'm like, yeah, I can figure it out. Like, if I really think about it, I can, like, think, I think that, like, the stuff with Rue and Lexi happened before the stuff with this. Like, I can figure it out, but there's no reason for me to have to put in that much work because it doesn't add anything to the narrative that it's confusing. And it's for no reason. Again, like, it's not like Memento. It's not like something where it's out of order in a way that I feel incentivized to be like, oh, let me put the puzzle together and figure out what happened when. It's out of order just in a way where you're like, wait, what? Why is she back there? It's just stupid. It's stupid. So we open up with Ali's backstory, who he's played by Coleman Domingo. He's Rue's, like, sponsor, her addiction sponsor. He's been in the show since the first season, but he's always been a side character. Like, he only really ever interacts with Rue. He's not interacting with the rest of the characters a whole lot. He has some stuff that I think they talked about with his backstory in some previous seasons, but I really don't remember, especially because it's been a long fucking time since the first and second seasons. So I don't remember everything that got revealed about him previously, but he's not, like, that important of a character. He kind of is, because he's, like, trying to encourage Rue to be sober, and he's a part of that narrative, but he's not integrated into the rest of the show, and he's also just, like, very underused. He doesn't feel like, I mean, he's a compelling character, for sure, but he doesn't add that much to the plot. So already, the fact that it opened up with his backstory on episode 7 of season 3, which we already knew was going to be the penultimate episode of the season, if not the series. There was no confirmation at that point if the show was going to go on past season 3, but it felt like probably like we were moving toward a finale. So I was like, why are we getting his backstory in the penultimate episode? This is just, it's like too little too late at this point. We're not going to spend that much more time with this character probably. So what do I need to know his backstory for in the first place? This should have come way earlier. But it really doesn't even make that much sense. Like, it's such a rushed backstory. So it starts with, well, I don't remember exactly where it starts. I think it maybe starts with Natasha Lyonne in the motel, but I don't remember at this point. But Natasha Lyonne is in the episode. She plays a hooker, which is what she's credited as. I happen to be looking at the credits for something else, and I just came across her credit as hooker. Okay, cool. She doesn't get a name. And then I was also curious because, which I guess, yeah, she wouldn't get a name because she's not named in the episode, but that was just funny to me. And I was curious about if you go back to the episode before, because I remember when I said that Alamo's mom never got a name, I was like, what do they put her in as? Here's the cast. And they just put her in as Mama Brown. That's all she is. She's just Mama. Stupid. But Natasha Lyonne is in it. She's a hooker. And then she's also racist for, like, no reason. She's in this motel room with Coleman Domingo's character, with Ali, and she says something like, I usually never do black guys because I'm afraid of getting killed. And I was like, okay. Why did I need to hear that? Like, it doesn't add anything to the narrative that she's racist. It's just a little fun thing for Sam to put into the script. Fine, whatever. So you find out that Ali is cheating on his wife. You get this, like, also this narration from Rue where she says something about without God, or I don't remember. I have this quote here. I don't remember if Rue says it or if Ali says it, but without God, short-term desires become long-term patterns. So already we're hitting the God shit real hard in this episode. We find out that Ali had been cheating on his wife, that he abused his wife. I think there was something in an earlier episode before indicating that he had abused his wife while he was, because this is his backstory, so this is before he got sober. This is when he's still addicted to, I don't know, crack, whatever the fuck he's addicted to. I think we knew before that he had been abusive to his wife before he got sober. I think that had been, like, mentioned in another episode, but we see it this episode. He's, like, having a conversation. He's at dinner with his wife, and then she gets mad at him. She walks off, and he's like, fuck you, bitch. And then you, like, hear him hitting her. You don't see it, thankfully, but, like, you do hear it. And I was like, okay, if I'm supposed to think that Ali's, like, a good person, I understand that, like, addiction can, like, do weird things to you and can make you act out of character. So I'm fully down with the idea that Ali was abusive when he was addicted to substances, and maybe he's not abusive anymore, but it never really explores that. It doesn't really explore, like, anything, really. It doesn't explore anything. Like, you see him have, like, an overdose or something. He ends up in the hospital, and then he decides, instead of taking the painkillers that are offered him while he's in the hospital, I'm not even sure what he was in the hospital for, but instead of, I would assume maybe it had something to do, because I think he was a firefighter, so maybe it had something to do with that, but I don't remember if they ever actually explained why he was in the hospital. But he refuses the painkillers they offer him, and then I guess he's just cured after that. Like, I don't know. I guess he accepted God in his life or something, and now he's just not an addict anymore, or he's in recovery, and he will remain in recovery, and he becomes, like, a sponsor for other people in recovery. And it's just like, oh, okay, it was just that easy. Like, he doesn't do anything with this story. He introduces it, and then he's just like, and then Ali was fine. The fuck? But so Ali becomes a sponsor, and all of his sponsees die, except for Rue. And he has this book. He's like always checking in on his sponsees, and then he checks in on them, like, it seems like almost every day, and then eventually they all die, and he writes it in his little book. They're like, oh, this one's dead now, and he puts the date. And so it already seemed like foreshadowing that, like, Rue's his only sponsee that's still alive, which seems crazy, by the way. Sam Levinson has such a pessimistic view of recovery, where he thinks that, like, it kills everybody, even though he was also an addict and survived. But he thinks that, like, pretty much 99% of addicts die of their addictions, which is also not true, by the way. Addiction is a terrible disease, and it does kill a lot of people. It doesn't kill that many of them, that quickly at least. But in Euphoria's universe, it does. So he has a list of dead people. You have to be worried that Rue's gonna end up on this list. Spoiler. But moving on, it goes back to a scene with Alamo and Big Eddie. And this, I couldn't even find, because normally I like to, like, you know, find tweets that correspond to the scenes that we're talking about. I really couldn't even find any tweets. I found this one, but that's got like 40 likes on it, but no one gave a fuck about this scene, apparently. But I wasn't live tweeting at the time, because I was in Vegas. I think probably seeing Hillary Duff around this time, so I wasn't watching the episode, so maybe there were more tweets while the episode was happening, but Alamo and Big Eddie are in, like, Alamo's office or whatever. Big Eddie had been shot episodes ago. He's now back. He has a colostomy bag, which they show, of course, and they show the poop inside of it, because that's what Sam Levinson loves. They keep closing up on this colostomy bag full of shit, and then Alamo is just being, like, shitty to Eddie, and he's like, oh, you fucked up by, like, getting shot and allowing the Lori's guys to get into the safe. So he tells Big Eddie, like, you need to take the girls down to Mexico, because they're going to Mexico with Lori's men to, like, get fentanyl. You need to go with them and also take two of the girls, two of the strippers, to get a tune-up. So they're going for some, like, cosmetic procedure. Kitty is getting a BBL. I don't know what the other girl's getting. But he tells Eddie to take them down. The DEA is listening to this entire conversation. And I believe that Big Eddie at this point is an informant for the DEA. I don't remember. This is the thing, is it might have been clarified in the final episode, but at some point during the final episode, I checked out a little bit. So I don't remember if it was confirmed that Big Eddie was an informant, but somehow this room that Alamo is in is bugged. So the DEA hears all of this. It's possible. I've seen some people. I saw Nicole, what's her last name? Raffi, the internet, like chronically online girl or whatever who does the explainers. I watched her recap of the episode, and she thought that maybe maybe he had a recording device in his colostomy bag somehow. Maybe. Not sure. I mean, it would explain why they show the colostomy bag so much, but it also, I don't know that Sam Levinson needs a reason to show me poop. Maybe that's the explanation, maybe it's not. I don't know. Either way, it does seem like Big Eddie is just getting fed up with Alamo, period. That Alamo is kind of dehumanizing toward him, which of course he is. Then it goes to a scene with Rue and Lexi, where, and this is where, like, the timeline shit gets really weird. So Rue is in Lexi's apartment. Lexi is trying to write the script for LA Nights. And then Rue is just, like, talking about, she's, like, telling Lexi everything. She's talking about God again. And then she's, like, she reveals the fact that she had been working with Nazis, and she had been working with these black cowboys, which they're not cowboys, they just wear cowboy hats. They own a strip club. But then she also reveals that she has been working as like a double agent with the DEA, and Lexi's just getting annoyed and being like, shut the fuck up, I'm trying to write my script. And as this Twitter user pointed out, Lexi isn't really about that screenwriting life, because if my friend started talking about Nazis, black cowboys, encounters with God, and working with the DEA, I would have dropped everything and pulled out a paper and pen. These are the stories you should be killing for. Yeah, this is the thing, is that my theory had been the entire time that the show was going to end similar to how season 2, I don't remember if that was the final episode or maybe like the penultimate episode of season 2, but there was the whole, like, high school play scene that Lexi had written. So I was like, oh, they're going to do that again with LA Nights. She's going to write this episode of LA Nights, and it's going to include everything that, like, her friends are doing, which I thought was, like, hacky, because it's just, you're copying the shit that you did in the second season that worked. Sorry. But then it doesn't even do that. Like, that's the thing, is that he won't let any of his female characters this season be competent people. Because Lexi could have been writing all this down and had, like, an incredible episode of LA Nights or whatever. But then she doesn't even do that. When her friend is giving her, like, all these juicy details, she's just like, shut the fuck up, Rue. I don't care. So cool. Glad everyone is stupid now. I'm glad everyone is just, they have incidental success because none of them are actually good at what they're pursuing. Stupid. And then we never even get to see this episode of LA Nights. It's so dumb. And then Lexi just starts being mean out of fucking nowhere.
You've been using again, so...
Okay, why the fuck would you say that? No, I'm not.
Well, I wish I could believe you.
Fuck you.
Fuck me?
Yeah, fuck you. You're sitting here judging me the whole fucking time. Jesus.
No wonder your mom doesn't talk to you anymore.
We speak.
Like, so out of pocket. And Lexi is kind of a bitch in the first place. Like, that's kind of been her character. And I think it actually could be, like, a decent character if Sam ever really developed her. And I've also heard people talking shit about Maude Apatow's acting this season. And yeah, I don't think it's incredible. But I also think that, like, with the material she's been given, like, why should she do any better? She's kind of giving the performance that the show deserves. But a lot of the other performers on the show, for some reason, are still giving it their all. But it doesn't... I'm like, that is such an out-of-pocket thing to say for anyone. Even Lexi, who's kind of bitchy, that I don't buy it. It's so insane. But I guess it sets up for for this next episode for, I don't know, Lexi to just be sad or something. Stupid. So Rue walks out of Lexi's apartment. She then sees like something moving in Cassie's apartment and decides to like go check on Cassie or something. She knocks on the door and she's like, Cassie. Why? I'm not sure. This person says something that surprised me was Rue being the person who cared the most about Cassie's disappearance. And it's like, well, did Cassie actually disappear? What? She's worried about Cassie. Like, why did Rue knock on her door? It doesn't really make sense. I still don't even really know what the relationship between Rue and Cassie is at this point, because it doesn't seem like they ever hang out. And also, she was talking shit about Cassie when she was in the diner with Maddie, so I don't even think Rue really likes Cassie. But I guess, you know, if someone you know is missing, you'd still be concerned about them. But like, does she think that Cassie is missing and that it's like yeah, she saw someone in her window, but it was so quick because I went back and I watched that scene again and I was like, well, the thing that she sees doesn't even look that strange. So I would just think that like, oh, Cassie's just like in her apartment or something. Like, I wouldn't even think anything of it. I would just be like, oh, okay, whatever. It's weird for Rue to even be suspicious, but I guess it's convenient for the plot, even though it's really not. Like, that's this entire scene really didn't even need to happen. It's actually not even necessary for the plot. But this is where shit with the timeline gets so stupid. So she knocks on Cassie's door. Cassie is tied up in her room. This is where we do see the thing from the teaser from like the very beginning of the season where Sydney Sweeney is like on a bed looking like she's about to get assaulted. She doesn't. I don't think. Maybe she... I mean, she gets assaulted in the way that she gets tied up, but she doesn't get like raped. So that's nice. But she does get threatened that he's going to cut her tits off if she says anything while Rue is knocking on the door. So Rue knocks on the door. She's like, Cassie. And then these mob bosses that have already taken Nate are holding Cassie. They're like kidnapping her. And they're like, you better not say anything. You better not scream. And then one of them has a gun pointed in like the, what's that called? The like little peephole. He has the gun pointed in the peephole and he's like about to shoot before Rue walks away. And I'm like, why would he do that? Like, just wait until she walks away. What? She's not going to open the door. She can't open the door. She doesn't have a key. What threat was she really? Just wait. Why would you ever, if you shot her, you're creating a bigger scene. It doesn't make any sense. Oh my God. Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. But so then we hear Rue's narration say a few days earlier. So we go back to see how Cassie got into this situation because we didn't see that part. We just see her like, I don't even think you actually see Cassie at that point. I think you just see Rue in the peephole and then you see the gun pointed at her. But I don't think you even know necessarily that Cassie's in that apartment. But so you go to a few days earlier and we go back to where Cassie was at the episode before when she had just discovered Nate's finger. Like she got sent the finger in the mail. And so she's sitting at her table and she gets a call from the mob boss. And he's like, you gotta give me money. And I don't even understand. It says, before Nate even got buried, why didn't Cassie wire over money knowing she had the money? Yeah, Cassie has been earning money this entire time with her OnlyFans. And for some reason, it's never getting to Nate, and Nate is never able to give it to these mob bosses. And I'm like, but why? Like, is Cassie being late with the payments on purpose? Is she just, like, lazy or dumb? Like, why is the money not getting to Nate? Why? Why anything? And especially at this point when, like, Nate is missing, why isn't she just like, okay, here's all the money. Here's all the money. Doesn't make any sense. But then she gets fired from LA Knights. And this part I actually thought was kind of, like, interesting and, like, kind of works for the narrative of like LA Knights, the producers had encouraged her to delete her OnlyFans, which she did, so that she could be on the show. And then the network executives say that like, well, we don't really want a porn star on the show, so you can't, just no. And so the producers are like, oh well. And so now Cassie has deleted her OnlyFans. She's gotten rid of her source of income. And now she is not on LA Knights. So it's like, oh fuck, now she doesn't have any income. And I'm like, well, you still had earned a plenty of money, it seemed, on OnlyFans prior to this. So like, even if you're not making any more money right now, it does just seem like you still have enough money to pay the mob bosses. But either way, it's so stupid because we saw Cassie signing the contract with the content house with Brandon. Then she signed the contract with Maddie for OnlyFans, or like Maddie to be her manager as she's doing OnlyFans. And then she auditioned for LA Knights. So like, okay, LA Knights is gone, OnlyFans is gone. She still has a contract with Brandon in the content house though, doesn't she? Why doesn't she just do that? And also, even if she deleted her OnlyFans, she still has an Instagram. She still probably has a Twitter, maybe a YouTube page. Like, it seems like she has more sources of income than just OnlyFans. And also, she's freaking out about the fact that she deleted her OnlyFans and she can't get the account back and she can't get all the followers back. Which, okay, yeah, that would really suck. But again, you do still have these other accounts. So, like, you could probably just create another OnlyFans and you could still, like, recoup some of that money. Like, you can still get new subscribers or people to resubscribe from the deleted account. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't really... No one's making rational choices here at all. But so, Maddie, because she had set up this audition for LA Knights with Cassie, her boss, who is like an actual manager or an agent or something, finds out and is like, you sent a porn star to LA Knights. You're managing another like OnlyFans person, which the manager had been upset about in the first place, even though actually in the first episode she wasn't even mad that Maddie had, or the second episode, she wasn't mad that Maddie had been managing an OnlyFans star. She was mad that the OnlyFans star that Maddie was managing started dating an actor that the manager was managing. And I was like, well, what does her firing that what does her dropping her own client have to do with who that client is dating? It is... But so, okay, Maddie gets fired from her job because she set Cassie up for this audition and her boss didn't like that. And so then Maddie comes to Cassie, finds out that Cassie has deleted her OnlyFans, so now Maddie's income is compromised as well. Then we have a scene with Cassie and Maddie where Maddie does slap Cassie. And, you know, there's a lot of debate about whether or not, like, who's in the wrong here. And I'm like, both of them kind of, like, mostly Maddie, because Maddie is, like, pimping her friend. But also, like, okay, Cassie did sign a contract with Maddie. She probably should have checked with her, especially because it's not like, as this person says, I actually don't think Cassie deserves to be sex trafficked for being a loser pick-me. And the OnlyFans I would not say is Cassie being sex trafficked, because Cassie clearly wanted to make the OnlyFans account, and she clearly, like, enjoyed it. There was nothing about Cassie's relationship to her sex work at that point that seemed involuntary. And so Maddie is not sex trafficking her by managing her while she has the OnlyFans account. But then Maddie does, after she deletes the OnlyFans account, she basically says, like, I don't know if it's in this little clip, let me see.
You're not gonna bitch. You're not gonna moan. You're gonna listen to every motherfucking word that comes out of my mouth. You're not gonna blink without permission. Your world is mine. And I'm not your manager. I'm your fucking boss, bitch.
And so that's where we're like, okay, this is definitely getting weird, of Maddie taking a ridiculous amount of control of Cassie's life and career. But then even after that, I'm like, but it doesn't even seem like the decisions that Cassie makes after that point seem completely coerced either. It seems like she's kind of on board with all of it. So it's like, I don't even know what the messaging of the show is in terms of, like, is Cassie being sex trafficked? Because she kind of seems okay with it. Am I supposed to just, like, automatically believe that any amount of sex work is sex trafficking? Because I don't. And I do need you to show me that Cassie is an unwilling participant in this, if you want me to take that message. But I don't know. It's like, what am I supposed to read about any of what these characters are doing? None of them are making decisions that actually make sense, and none of them are fully developed characters. But so, Maddie instructs Cassie, but again, Cassie seems to be completely fucking fine with it. She has Cassie go to this party with Dylan, the actor from LA Nights, and have sex with Dylan, which she does, and is putting on a good show of it. She has 3 orgasms, it seems, with Dylan, though she might be faking the orgasms just for dramatic effect, who's to say. But we got a lovely shot of Cassie, like a POV shot from Dylan's perspective of Cassie on top of him with her tits bouncing around like normal. It's fine. I mean, at least there it kind of made sense for her to be naked. So they have sex. That scene actually was kind of funny because he starts yelling like, stop coming, I need water. And so he's drunk, which that's not okay, girl. He goes to get a drink of water, and a lot of people are liking his bod, that he looks like a somewhat normal guy, not someone jacked up on steroids. Which is, yeah, I think that that's a lovely body as well. It is a little frustrating that, like, I don't know that there's any woman on the show who has a body that looks that kind of normal. But okay. He goes into the kitchen, he gets ice from her freezer, and when he scoops the ice with a cup, Nate's fucking finger is in there, of course, which he doesn't notice, I guess. How? But I guess he's drunk, and so then Cassie takes his phone. She tweets that, because he had said to her that she was the best fuck he ever had, and so she, like, tweets that or posts it on Instagram or something and tags herself, so she gets all these new followers. And then, like, tens of thousands of followers, so it's like, okay, we're back. And now she has more followers, and now she can resume her OnlyFans career or something. I don't fucking know. It doesn't matter. But yeah, they do this thing. It's hard to say if Dylan ever knows that she posted it, or maybe he thought that he posted it because he was drunk. I'm not sure. We never really get much of a follow-up. But then later in the kitchen with Maddie and Cassie, when they're celebrating all their new followers, Maddie notices the finger in the cup, and it could just be a bad take, but I feel like this, I don't know, the speed at which she sees the finger and then reacts, I don't know that comes across completely natural, but this was kind of a funny scene.
Is that a fucking finger?
Oh no. Is it Dylan's?
No, who moved that?
Is it Nate's?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you the truth, but you have to promise not to tell anyone.
What the fuck is going on here?
You know what?
So then Cassie informs Maddie of all the stuff with the mob, and now Maddie's up to date on that. Sydney Sweeney is doing a good job, I will say. And on the plane, on the way to Vegas, I did watch that Christie movie on the flight. She's good in that too. She's a good actress. What can you say? So we go to a scene with Nate and this mob boss, and the mob boss is like asking him about his height, which the Buffy's account said, if Nate lied and he was 6'3", then the coffin would have been too small for him to fit, which would have delayed the burying, meaning the snake wouldn't have been there if the burying was delayed. But, like, they literally are measuring him. They have, like, a tape measure to measure him. But so they're measuring him for a coffin. We get that scene for, like, a second. Then it goes back to Rue and Ali, and it's a sweet little scene of Ali being protective of Rue. She's telling him that, like, she's got to go do this drug deal, and then if she just does this one last, or no, it's not a drug deal. She's going to Lori's house to get the stuff out of the safe. But if she goes and does this one last thing, then the DEA will show up, everyone will get arrested, and everything will work out fine. So Ali doesn't want her to go. She does go. She puts a card on the TV that says, "Forgive me." Then we get Kitty and Magic for a second, because Kitty is one of the girls who's getting a BBL. And so we have this scene here, and I'm just like, in the episode that Kitty was introduced, Magic didn't seem down. She didn't seem to like her. She seemed like territorial of like, who's this new girl that's here? Now they seem like they're all friends. And like, can I see some of this? Can I see the strippers interacting with each other in more than just like one less than a minute scene? This is the kind of stuff that I actually would like to see, is the strippers' interactions.
Claro que sí, cansas, por fin. Dobla la talla, triplica el dinero. Girl, how you gonna get a BB on you so little?
That's why I have all this ice cream.
You're competing, keep eating. How big you gonna go?
As big as possible.
Okay. Yeah, go big or go home. How much are they charging you?
Alamo's covering it.
At what interest?
I don't know.
What the fuck you mean you don't know? That's bad business, you need to know.
Oh, I'm just excited because I'm going to Mexico.
Oh, they have the best tacos. Just remember, don't die, bitch.
I'm sorry. That wasn't funny. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, we need you back. We love you.
You do? Since when? Oh my god. Hopefully YouTube doesn't notice those nips for a second. Maybe I shouldn't even say anything. I shouldn't alert the bots. So then an ambulance shows up. So there's two different things happening at the same time. Big Eddie is going with one of Lori's guys, one of the Nazis, to Mexico with Kitty and another girl so that they can get their surgeries. They're going in this like ambulance thing, and this is the ambulance that took Angel. So like this is all a part of like whatever system Alamo's got. He's got these fucking ambulance cars, and he takes girls to different medical things, which I don't even know what happened. We still don't know exactly what happened to Angel. A lot of people think that she got like, she was like a victim of organ harvesting, maybe, or maybe she was just killed. I don't know. No one knows. But so they get into this ambulance, they go to Mexico to take the girls for their surgeries and also get fentanyl and bring it back. Simultaneously, while Big Eddie and the Nazi and the girls are in Mexico, Rue is going with G to Lori's. G is another one of Alamo's henchmen. He's taking her to Lori's, and Lori's Rue is going to enter Lori's by herself, but G is taking her there, and then she, like, Rue hits herself in the face, like, in the car so that it looks like Alamo beat her up. And she's telling Lori that, like, Alamo tried to kill her. So this is all happening simultaneously on the show. It's intercut with all the scenes of Cassie and Maddie. But then we already saw the scene with Rue at Lexi's house and then knocking on the door with Cassie tied up. So I'm like, okay, I don't understand what, I guess I'm supposed to believe that all the stuff with Rue happened before all the stuff with Cassie. And then by the time that Rue is at Lexi's, all this stuff has already happened. And but that doesn't make sense. Wait, I am still so confused. I guess, okay, wait, so she doesn't get tied up, Cassie gets tied up later. but she gets the call earlier, so she's not tied up yet at this point. When Rue is going to... Yeah, that's what happened. When Rue is going to Lori's and with Alamo and stuff, that's all before Cassie gets tied up. She's only gotten a call at this point. Okay, that's what's happening. But yeah, this tweet says, not gonna lie, this Rue storyline is confusing me a little bit. She has to get the money from the safe to Alamo, so the Alamo thinks she's on his side, and Lori and Nazis believed her when she said he tried to kill her, and the DEA is involved somewhere, and Lori's got Angel's IDs. So yeah, all of this, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but it's also just, it's so convoluted for no fucking reason. So Rue is going to Lori's to get the stuff that Lori's men stole from the safe, which she believes is money. Turns out it's not. But, and then the other guys are in Mexico. And then it's hard to understand if Lori's guys actually believe Rue and believe that she's escaping from Alamo, or if they're suspicious of her, because one of the guys, Faye's boyfriend, does seem on planning on killing her. And it's hard to say if that's like a directive he's gotten from Lori, or if Lori still believes Rue. I don't fucking know. And then yeah, rewatch the episode, and if I understand correctly, Rue went to Ali's house, had left by the morning to go to Lexi's house. Yeah, that's the thing too. Where does... she's with Ali and then... No. She's with Ali and then she goes to Alamo's and then... I don't understand. I don't know what event happens when. I still don't know the timeline. If I really think about it, I can probably figure it out. But I shouldn't have to think about it that hard because it literally doesn't matter. Like, what was the purpose of making this so fucking confusing? But yeah, okay, so Rue went to Ali's house, had left by the morning to go to Lexi's house, got in a fight, and then went to Lori's house on the same day because the clothes match. I think that Rue just doesn't change her clothes, is the explanation there. But I still don't know what order things come in. But so then we get to Cassie getting tied up. So now we're back at the scene where Rue was knocking on the door. Cassie is tied up. She opened the door without looking through the peephole, even though she knows that there's like mob bosses coming to get her. She gets knocked around, as this person says. Does this show have one scene where women aren't getting abused or humiliated? Just the scenes where Nate is getting abused and humiliated, but that's about it. But you'll notice in this scene, I do like her fuzzy little socks, Sydney Sweeney is wearing Balenciaga lingerie from 2022. And I noticed very quickly, I'm like, well, she can't be wearing CERN because her boobs look properly supported. This looks like an outfit that fucking fits her. Which says a lot. Like, one of the few outfits on the show where it looks like it actually fits is one of the few outfits where she's not wearing her own fucking clothing line. Looks good, though. So at this point, Nate is trapped underground, which, trigger warning if you have, like, a fear of being trapped underground, but I did think this was funny. Someone says, Nate Jacobs, are you seeing this?
To actually do if you're buried alive? First, stay calm, since panicking wastes oxygen, and you'll only have enough for about an hour or two, so...
Nate at least does have, he's buried underground, but there's, like, a tube. They, like, I guess sawed a hole in his coffin, and then there's a tube that goes up to the ground, so I guess he can get more oxygen. And also, like, he can yell, and his brother is up on the, like, looking for him for some reason. I don't know why they would be looking for him here. They have him buried where the, like, land is that he's supposed to be developing, but couldn't because of these fucking flowers. I don't know why his brother is looking for him there. It's literally just a plot of land, and his brother's just walking around being like, is Nate around here? I haven't seen him in a while. And Nate's underground being like, help, help, but his brother can't hear, and then he drives away. So it's, I guess maybe that's why the hole was there, just so that, oh, well, I mean, the hole is there so that something else can happen later, but I don't know why the mob bosses put it there. I don't know why they would go to all this trouble. I don't believe, like, you can torture someone And you can restrain someone without digging an entire hole, getting a coffin, putting someone in the coffin, drilling, cutting a hole for the coffin, getting this long, like, it's so detailed and convoluted that, like, why would anyone waste their time like this? But he's underground.
So take slow, shallow breaths. If the coffin is wooden, use your shirt or clothing to cover your face. Feel for weak points in the coffin lid and press upwards. If the lid breaks, soil will start pouring in, so use your arms to push the dirt toward your feet, creating space above your head, which keeps you from being crushed. When enough dirt fills the coffin, it might be possible to crawl upward through the loose soil. If you're in a metal or fiberglass coffin, though, all you can do is try to stay as still as possible to conserve oxygen. To actually do if you're...
Yeah, I think that most of us should just try to not ever be in this situation, and most of us never will be. And I don't even know how Nate ended up in this situation. It doesn't make sense. And then, so Maddie calls Lexi. Lexi's pissed off still because she's trying to write her fucking script. She doesn't want to talk to anybody, which I understand. Sometimes I'm, like, working on something for one of my videos, and, you know, I'll get a text and I'm like, oh, who's bothering me? But also, like, she's being a little much. And for an episode of TV that I don't even know ever got made. So Maddie calls Lexi looking for Cassie, who at this point is missing. She's pissed off because she hates everyone that she knows. And then, as all that's happening, there's a rattlesnake that climbs into Nate's coffin from that hole, from that, like, tube. It goes down the tube and then gets into the coffin with Nate, which I don't think would happen. I think that because Nate is, like, yelling and pounding on the coffin, I don't think that a snake would go down there, because why would it? But it goes down there, and then it, like, it takes a while to bite him. It, like, goes all the way around his body, and then it finally bites him. It's clearly not a rattlesnake, too. It's like a cobra that they just put a little rattle on, too. But we're supposed to believe it's a rattlesnake, so it bites him. Nate gets poisoned by the rattlesnake for whatever reason. There is, by the way, no Jules in the episode at all. There is one. Yes, there's the cobra that's a rattlesnake. There is one moment where Jules tries to call Rue, and then G sees it and just, like, hangs up. Like, he puts it on silent. So that's the most Jules we get in that episode. And we get more screen time of this fucking cobra. Then Nas, who is the mob boss, he has Cassie call Maddie and demand $1 million for Cassie's return, for Nate's return, however much money I guess Nate now owes him. The numbers in this show are just always made up. It's like all these characters just somehow owe so much fucking money because of some interest or something, but it's like, show me the data. Show me how this is being calculated. Maddie then is like, okay, fuck, I have to rescue Cassie. So I gotta get $1 million. So she goes to Alamo's place, and Magic is there, Rosalia's character, without a neck brace. And she basically just tells Maddie, because there's a bathing suit on the wall, and she's like, Alamo wants you to wear that when you go talk to him. So she has to put on this bathing suit. And then she just says, try not to overthink it. Meaning that, like, okay, now Maddie's gonna be prostituted as well. Cool. So she goes to meet Alamo in a hot tub in her bathing suit. It is implied that Maddie has sex with Alamo to get the money for Cassie. We don't see it, thankfully. I'm glad about that. I know that Alexa did say recently that she told Sam that she didn't want to do any sex scenes or any nude scenes. So maybe that's why they cut that, like, there's no scene of her getting raped, essentially. Maybe that's why, just because Alexa didn't want to film it. But I'm glad that it's not in the episode, because I just don't want to see that. I'm kind of sick of all of the main female characters being assaulted. But even just knowing that it happens, I hate it. I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. She then, in this scene, because, okay, so when she calls Lexi's all pissed off that someone's calling her, I guess, and she starts ranting, and she's like, and Rue was just here, and she was talking all crazy about she's working for Nazis and black cowboys and the DEA, and then Maddie's like, okay, whatever, well, Rue's just sort of weird. And then for some fucking reason, Maddie decides to, like, mention the DEA in relation to Rue to Alamo.
The DEA. I don't know.
He's a real character.
Everyone in this universe or in this show is just stupid. And I saw some people trying to defend this and being like, well, Maddie doesn't know that Alamo is involved in the drug trade. She just knows that he runs a strip club. It's like, okay, either fucking way. Oh, medicine. Thank you. Thank you so much. But it's like, either way, she knows that he's involved in some amount of, like, scuzzy businesses. And she still decides to just be like, yeah, and my friend Rue, who you know, who's working for you, she's also, I guess, working with the DEA. I don't know. Fucking stupid. She's not that goddamn dumb. And it's like, why would that even come up? Maddie or Lexi had said it so, like, in passing. They didn't even, like, have a real discussion about it when she was on the phone with Lexi, but then for whatever reason, that little detail stuck in her head and she thought to say it to Alamo. Ridiculous. Thank you for the reminder. So, Nate is now dead, it turns out. This is how I found out, because I wasn't watching the episode live while I was in Vegas, but I opened up Twitter, forgetting that it was even, like, Euphoria night, and then immediately saw this, and I was like, oh shit, Nate must have died. He must have died this episode. But he is free. Worst experience of his fucking life. And yeah, good for Jacob Elordi. And this is a behind-the-scenes photo of him filming his death scene. He looks very happy. He does not want to be on that fucking show. Good for him. And here's the thing, too, is I saw a few people celebrating Nate's death. Nicole Raffi, is that how you say her last name? I'm not sure. The Chronically Online girl who is doing the Euphoria recaps, she was happy that he died. But I think that she also had done some recap stuff from the first two seasons before she started doing the recaps for this current season. And I think that probably helps. Like, if you watched the first two seasons somewhat recently, you kind of remember Nate as who he was. But I haven't rewatched the show since it aired. So it's been years since I saw Nate being evil. So at this point, it's like I have no connection to evil Nate. I'm like, this is a fully new character. And this is just a character that exists to have their limbs cut off and be beaten up. Like, I feel kind of bad for this guy because I don't associate him with any of the actions of his character from the first two seasons. And Page 6 really, like, clocked it. They had a good review. Every episode of season 3 was torture porn, featuring Nate on screen for less than 5 minutes, getting brutalized, getting his fingers and toes cut off before his absurd death. It's not satisfying to watch a villain bite the dust if he doesn't even feel like the same character. Season 3's Nate was a stranger with Elordi's face. His sins felt like they happened in an alternate dimension. Nate's pointless role in season 3 was the TV version of "This meeting could have been an email." Yeah, this was not satisfying. 4 p.m. Someone already reminded me to take my Dayquil, so thank you. I did. But it was just a waste, and it's a waste of, as the Page 6 thing says itself, criminally wasted Jacob Elordi and his complex Nate with ridiculous storyline. Jacob Elordi's a great actor, and there were moments in this season where I was like, okay, he's clearly still kind of committed to what was on the script for that day, but what was on the script for that day doesn't make any sense with his character, so it's like, even his performance can't be as good as it could have been because it doesn't make sense, because the writing is just that incoherent. And that fucking sucks, because, like, he was an Oscar-nominated actor. He was very recently nominated for an Oscar. This could have been his, like, Emmy campaign if he had actually been given good material. And he just got completely wasted, and his character got completely, like... His character doesn't exist anymore. This is a different fucking character. And we'll never know if he was gay, because there were a few hints throughout the show that he might have been, and now we'll never know. We'll never have that mystery solved. And also, what the fuck was up? There was the whole thing in the wedding episode with him and Jules, and now that's also not gonna get taken anywhere else. Like, maybe, I don't think he was fully gay, but maybe he was bi or something, and I do think he had a little bit of a crush on Jules. That's not going anywhere now? Cool. I thought this was funny too. Like, if he had just sold his house, maybe everything would have turned out okay. Yeah, they should have sold that house. But everyone in this universe is stupid, so what does it matter? So then we go back to a scene with Rue and Lori and the other Nazis, where, and this is, again, I'm like, I don't know who, Wayne, Faye's boyfriend, does seem like he's intent on hurting Rue somehow. Probably because he's a Nazi, but they're all Nazis, so I don't know. But I'm still not sure if Lori was in on that or whatever, but this is what they tell Rue of Alamo, and it's like, why does Rue even need to be told this shit? Why does she keep forgetting the man that she works for? I think that she could put the clues together herself, but she won't.
You can do what Alamo does to his girls and sell her.
Give her some double D's and a bath.
Paralyze her tongue with Botox.
Is that what Alamo does?
What did you think he does?
So what you say? You want to be some rich guy's fuck dog?
What did you think he does? You've been with him the entire time. Why does Lori know more about his business than you do? So then they go, they go back to that plot, that the land development thing that Nate was trying to put some retirement home or something on, where he's buried. They show up with the mob boss and one of his henchmen, and then we've got Alamo and some of his henchmen, and then Cassie and Maddie. So they're gonna Alamo's gonna give the mob boss guy $1 million to save Cassie and Nate. Maddie is wearing a really cute outfit that I just want to highlight just because I like it. Real cute. So then Alamo just kills Nas. Like, he just shoots him. He has like a bunch of money in he has a bag that theoretically there's a bunch of money in, that you think there's a bunch of money in, the $1 million that he's supposed to be giving Nas. Turns out it's just playing cards. So they open it up. He's like, whoa, it's just playing cards. You're playing me. And then Alamo just shoots Nas. Okay, fine. So Alamo has lost no money at all. Nas is now dead. The henchman that was with Nas almost shoots Alamo, but then, like, he decides not to because I guess he hated Nas. So he's like, I don't even know. I don't know why that henchman makes the decisions that he made. I don't think Sam does either. But now, even though Alamo has paid no money, somehow Maddie has now inherited Nate's debt and now owes Alamo $1 million?
More than $1 million in the hole, plus 20% of all future earnings. It's a steep price to pay for friendship.
Why? I get that it's like, okay, yeah, he didn't have to pay the $1 million, but like they had an agreement or something. But it's like, at this point, why doesn't he just point a gun at her and say like, hey, you work for me now or I'm gonna kill you? Like, it would make just as much sense. You don't need to go through this entire convoluted plot just to make Maddie a slave for Alamo. Like, this entire show is just like a bunch of people telling our main characters, you owe me a lot of money. And then they're just like, okay, that sucks. I guess I'll work for you forever. None of them question it. None of them think about like, oh fuck, how am I gonna get out of this? They're just like, I guess that's what I gotta do. Even though none of it ever makes any sense. Why would she owe him $1 million? Why did Rue owe... What did Rue owe Lori, like $43 million? How did that make sense? Where was the math on that? Nobody knows. I guess you can just tell people that they owe you money, and then they'll be like, oh fuck. Especially criminals too, where it's like, what are they gonna do about it? It's not gonna hold up in a court of law. They're not gonna sue you. They're just gonna like kill you maybe. But at that point, why do you need to owe the money? They could just, like, threaten you. So they're digging up Nate's grave. They then see his corpse, because he was bitten and poisoned by the snake. He's dead. They look really good. Still love that dress. I guess they're sad about it. And then there's Faye. So Rue is still at the Nazi ranch or whatever. Wayne wants to kill Rue, which Faye doesn't like because Faye is like, but that's my friend. So then Faye wakes Rue up and is like, hey, I'm gonna help you. Like, we're gonna go get into this safe. You're gonna get your money. And then you can escape. And like, and Rue promises her like some of the money. And so they open up the safe. Oh, and also, I don't know if this was revealed in an episode before this. This is the first time I noticed it, but in the basement, in the room that they're in the room that Faye and Wayne sleep in and that the safe is in, there's apparently just a fucking tunnel that they've dug. It'll be kind of relevant in the next episode, but not really. I mean, he made these set designers make that entire fucking set of this tunnel for no reason. It didn't need to be there. She could have just escaped through a window. But okay, there's a tunnel down there. They open up the safe. Turns out the stuff that was stolen from Alamo was not money, but the IDs that Alamo had collected from the strippers that he's trafficking. And so Rue is discovering once again that Alamo's a sex trafficker. But I guess this maybe hints at the idea that, like, Lori was... I don't know. I don't know what the motive here was and why Lori wanted those IDs, other than maybe to turn Alamo in. But, like, is she gonna go to the cops as a drug dealer? I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't know what anyone's plan was. But yeah, Rue's stupid ass every episode realizing Alamo is a human trafficker. But so once Faye realizes that there's no money in the bag, she gets really upset and she's like, you lied to me. You told me that there was money in the bag, which is not even true. Faye's the one that said that there was money in the bag. She was the one that, like, when Rue called her, she was like, oh yeah, all the money's in the safe, in the bag. Oh, and also the key that Faye had taken a photo of that Rue then had 3D printed doesn't even work. And so they have to get Wayne's keys to open the safe. And it's like, so what was even the point of having all that stuff with the 3D printer, with the 3D printing of the keys, if you were just going to still take just an unnecessary plotline? It doesn't make any difference. It ends just the same. But okay, Faye finds out there's no money in the safe. She gets mad at Rue for no reason because she's an idiot. And then she calls to Wayne, who is asleep.
Faye, don't.
And then that's where the episode ends. That Wayne is about to wake up, discover that Rue is getting into their safe, which Faye let her do it. And that's the cliffhanger that we end on. Then we get to the finale. And I was really sad going in, because as much as this season has sucked, I've spent a lot of time with these characters. Not so much this one in the latest season. Not even so much in the second season, but more than this season. But I care about these people. I was sad that I was going to be saying goodbye to them and to the show and, to the ritual of watching it and live tweeting it and talking about it. I'm not as sad that it's ending anymore. Because even if there was a season 4, and I was thinking about it, I was like, if there is a season 4, would I still watch it? And I was like, I probably would, because I am attached to the characters, and again, it is fun to do the live tweeting and stuff. It's a community thing. After watching this last episode, if there was a season 4, I would just not watch it. There's just no way. I cannot believe how much worse things get from here. So let's get into it. So we open up with that scene with Rue in the Nazi ranch. Faye yelling Wayne. Wayne wakes up, he grabs a gun, he starts shooting at Rue, but he's the worst shot in the entire world. He cannot shoot her to save his life. She runs down that fucking tunnel, she gets out at some other end, she then goes up a ladder, and this is the thing that killed me, where I was like, this is clearly... You could have just staged this a little differently. You didn't need to make Wayne look so stupid, which I don't really care because he's a Nazi, but it's it's so clear that the way that he's shooting at her is meant to keep Rue alive for a little bit longer, but it's you could have just had him further away and had her get farther, because at one point she's going up this ladder, and then she's at the top of the ladder struggling to open the hatch and get out. And then Wayne enters the room while she's stuck up there. And instead of just walking up to the bottom of the ladder and then shooting upward where she is, he decides to stand further away and kind of shoot. He's trying to angle upward. I'm why wouldn't he just walk over there? Eventually he does once she's finally outside. But there's no logical reason for him to wait that long. Whatever. So Rue's running. She eventually gets lassoed. That one of the other Nazis comes out with a horse and has a lasso somehow. Everyone has the supplies of cowboys here, even if they're not actual cowboys. So she gets dragged for a bit, but then it's fine because G is still around in his truck. He shoots that guy. They escape. Then we go to a scene with Cassie and Maddie in a diner, which doesn't really add anything to the plot, but it is a nice character moment. And this is the best moment that we'll get in the entire episode. This is the only moment that really feels representative of the show in some way, that these two characters that we've spent so much time with get to have a moment with one another. That's it. Then it immediately goes to Alamo and Rue. Even though Rue was getting shot at, she did still manage to grab the bag with all the IDs. She takes it back to Alamo. He's like, yay, good job. He's also pouring a Coca-Cola using two Coke cans. Here, I'll show that. That he's holding label out, and he's... It's so stupid. And there's other Coke cans in the episode too. That's later. But so the random Coca-Cola ads are killing me. Rue just about lost her life. Here, have a nice Coke. Alamo and his crew trafficking, but before that, here, have a nice Coke. It's the entire episode is sponsored by Coca-Cola. But so Rue gets Employee of the Year is what Alamo says. And so he gives her... I think he gives her some money. He gives her a stack of cash. And then he also gives her some Percocets because she is really beat up. And so the Percocets are supposed to be a painkiller. And he's like, that's just for the physical pain. I don't want you using it for the mental pain. But he gives her a bottle of Percocets. She takes one. it seems like things are going okay. Meanwhile, Big Eddie and the other Nazi guy are still in Mexico while the girls are getting their surgeries, their cosmetic procedures. Bishop is also there. He's just hanging around, like, in the background. He's, like, up on, like, a ledge or something, and he's watching things happen. So, when the Nazi guy goes into the clinic to get the girls, Big Eddie, it turns out, and Bishop switch the ambulances that they have, because they've been tipped off at this point about the DEA on their tail. So that's where the other Coke can comes in, is that the Nazi had been drinking a Coke, he sets it down, and then when he comes back, he's like, hey, where'd my Coke go? Because it's in a different ambulance now. But so, they get the girls. It does show them, I'm not going to show them here, but like, Kitty's BBL looks insane. The other girl has something, I don't even know what procedure this other girl got, but there's like bags of blood hanging from her head, and I'm like, I don't know what that is for. I don't need to know. I hope I never know. But yeah, what type of surgery do you even get done where you just have bags of blood hanging off your head afterward? They look fucked up. Then we go back to Laurie's house. Wayne is now shitting. We of course, have to have some poop in the episode. But I did notice, because Wayne runs to the bathroom and you hear a little bit of, like, some farting, and then he sits down on the toilet, and then you just kind of stop hearing the farting afterward, which is not what happened when Faye had diarrhea. You just heard just over and over again. But for some reason, when Wayne's on the toilet, it is a lot quieter, which I think maybe says something. That maybe Sam Levinson specifically has a fetish for women shitting. But I don't know. I mean, he showed Big Eddie's colostomy bag quite a lot. Not sure. But so this is how Wayne figures out that the painkillers that they had gotten from Rue at some point, or from Alamo, I don't remember even, because this is from like episodes ago, but the painkillers that they had gotten, or the cocaine, or whatever the fuck it was that they had gotten, wasn't real. And so if it had been real, he would have been constipated, but he's actually having diarrhea. So that's how he realizes, like, oh shit, this is a setup, because the DEA is after them. So it's not real drugs, but it's something that gave them, maybe it's like Miralax, I'm not sure. So that's when he figures out that the DEA is after them. So him and Faye escape, but they leave the rest of their crew behind. So Laurie and the other Nazis, they see the cops coming to the ranch, the DEA. Laurie decides that's it for her. She just jumps off the roof, kills herself. That's the end of that. Faye and Wayne start hitchhiking, or Faye is hitchhiking, and then when a family comes up to, like, let her in the car, he's behind a bush with a gun. So, like, I guess he's gonna shoot that family or threaten that family or whatever the fuck. We don't see that for the rest of the episode. Whatever happens with Faye and Wayne, we don't know. And at that point, I'm like, well, then why did you show me this in the first place? It goes nowhere. The only thing I can think of is that maybe Sam wants to have a season 4 or like a spin-off series or something with Faye and Wayne, and he's setting up for that. And I'm like, I'm not watching that, though. I'm not watching Faye and her Nazi boyfriend hitchhiking across the country. What was the point in showing me that? Then immediately after that, we go to a scene with Rue and Ali. She's staying at his house. She's sleeping on his couch. And then she sees on TV, if you remember episodes ago, she had been on the phone with Fez, who is in prison, and he had told her that he was gonna use parkour to escape prison. So Rue is sitting on the couch watching TV. She sees a news report that says that this guy, Fez, just escaped from prison using parkour. And it even shows a guy, like, crawling up the wall that I guess you're supposed to think is Fez, but it's clearly not, because the guy who played Fez is dead. And so at this point, I was like, what? How? Fez is now escaping from prison, but the actor who plays Fez is dead, so, like, what's gonna happen? What? Why are we doing this? But Rue is very, very, like, animated at this point, because she's like, oh my god, I told Fez that if he ever escapes using parkour that I'm gonna find him and I'm gonna, like, I'll help him, like, I'll be his escape car. So she's like, I have to go find Fez. And it's like, Fez is dead, like, the actor's dead. How are they gonna do that? As this meme says.
How's that gonna work?
How's that gonna work? Well, it should have been our clue that something was amiss. So then she, like, she gets in her van, she starts driving, and then we start seeing these, like, flashback clips of her and Fez together. And then it's not even just her and Fez, it's her seeing Jules for the first time. It's her in the car with her mom and her sister. And that was when I was like, you have to be fucking kidding me. Just unbelievable. She ends up, she gets back to her parents' house, like her mom's house, her sister's house, and there's cops around that are blocking that area off for some reason. They never really explain why, but they're blocking it off. She's like, well, I have to get in there. That's my house. And so she, like, manages to get past the cops. She, like, just runs past them and then ends up in her house. And then she's in her house and her mom is sitting there at the table. And she has a moment with her mom, and at this point, I already knew what was happening. I was like, okay. I didn't know exactly what was happening. I knew that something was about to happen, but I didn't know at that time that this entire thing is a dream sequence. I figured it out by the time that she saw her mom. I was like, oh, she's already gone. But at that point, when she was running past the cops, I was like, we're gonna see, is she gonna get shot by the cops? Is that what's gonna happen? But no. Turns out, this entire thing was a fake out scene. She actually died on Ali's couch. So you see Ali get up. One version of the scene, he's talking to Rue and she's watching TV and she's like, I gotta go help Fez. Then it comes back to him getting up again. He walks into the living room. Rue is on the couch, just gone already. She took these Percocets that were laced with fentanyl, and she just OD'd and died. This is 30 minutes into a 90-minute episode. 1/3 of the way through the episode, my main character is dead. And there's another hour left. And I knew going in that, like, Rue probably was gonna die this episode. I didn't expect it to happen like that. I thought that it would be more, like, climactic. I thought that it would be more, appropriate and more, like, focused on her, given the fact that she's the fucking main character. I thought that I would feel, like, moved or, like, emotional in some way. I mean, I was emotional. I was angry. But I wasn't even necessarily sad. I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? You're doing this cheap-ass, fake-out hallucination scene just for her to die on a fucking couch. And this is what Sam said about her death. He said it felt like an honest ending. The truth is that people like Rue don't survive. I wanted to tell an honest story about addiction. I wanted to talk about grief and the emotional turmoil it can provide. Fuck you. An honest story about addiction. Do a lot of people die of their addiction? Yeah, they do. And also a lot of people survive. This is not an inevitability. This is a choice that you made. And here, this is the thing that really fucking sucks. Here's Zendaya talking about Rue's character in 2022 and the hope that she had for her.
Go with her through that and get to the end and still have hope for her future and watch her make the changes and steps to heal and humanize her sobriety journey and her addiction, then maybe they can extend that to people that in real life. You know, if you can love her, then you can love someone that you know that is struggling with the same thing, and maybe have a greater understanding for the pain that they're facing, that is often out of their control. So for me, that is the most important thing. And I think I care about her deeply, and I also care about the people who care about her, because I think many of them share her story of addiction, sobriety. Care about her deeply, and I also care about the people who care about her, because I think many of them share her story of addiction, sobriety. Many of them share a lot of her, you know, her emotional disorders, you know, and I think it's important that we continue to have that love for her. So I don't know, that's a long-winded way of just saying that I think it's important that we have characters that are flawed, and remember that we are not, you know, the worst mistake we've ever made. And that redemption, I think one of my favorite lines from the diner episode was when Ali is kind of talking about the concept of redemption. You know, he's like, if you think that you're already a bad person, you're just going to keep doing bad things, because what's the point? And then you have a whole bunch of people running around who don't give a F about redemption. And I think that Rue just needs to she needs to find the good in herself and remember that she is still worthy of beautiful things and love and happiness. And just because she has made mistakes does not mean that she can't or doesn't deserve a beautiful life, you know? And that's easier for me to say about her than for her to say about herself. But that's my hope for her.
I would also, I would just like to point out, with this idea that this is a realistic ending, people do recover from addiction. It happens. It happens fairly often. Like, it is hard. But around 75% of people seeking recovery from a substance abuse problem achieve their goal. Even if it doesn't stick the first time, it's as though it may take them some time to achieve full remission. The average number of attempts before success is 5, though the median number is just 2, meaning that a small number of outliers, usually individuals with the greatest addiction severity and other concomitant mental health issues who need 5+ attempts, inflate the numbers, making them look worse than they are. People survive addictions if they seek recovery. This is not an inevitability. This is such a ridiculously pessimistic view of the, like, capacities of human beings. And it's so ridiculous too, because it's like Sam is an addict, or he is an addict in recovery. Like, he survived, but he thinks that Rue couldn't. And yes, he does think that. And he apparently thinks specifically that he would not have survived if he had been an addict in the current day, which is crazy to me, that he thinks that this is like a specific generational thing. Here he is talking, because the Popcast boys had him on.
I think we have
that this went up like right after the episode
to
ask him some questions.
At the end with this gutting epic finale. Obviously, what happens here, Rue overdosing on fentanyl and dying, closely tracks with an experience that you had in making this show.
I'm going to put it on to 1.5 speed.
With Angus Cloud, who played Fez, and we're starting hard and deep, but I wonder if you can just talk about when you knew Euphoria had to end this way, or at least Rue's story.
It's a good question, because I had originally written kind of a very different, it's not that different, but, you know, there was a different trajectory for the character of Rue. And this was during the writer's strike, and, you know, we got the news that Angus passed away. I'd always been really concerned about the prevalence of fentanyl, and, you know, it's something that, you know, we've dealt with over the seasons. But once he passed away, I had to sort of reconceive of the script. And I thought, you can't tell a story about addiction today without the very real consequences. Most people don't get a second chance. fentanyl can just take you out in an instant. It wasn't like when I was growing up, you could, literally take pills off the street. You might have a bad trip or something, but you'd be fine. And this is something that I think is hit close to home for a lot of people in this country. I mean, the numbers of overdoses are staggering. You're talking 75,000 people a year. If we were really going to be saying something with this season, we needed to put the audience in the position of a family member who loses someone that they love. I wanted to mirror that feeling. And I know how much audiences love Rue. It felt like I can put them in the position that I think a lot of families are in.
I thought you made an interesting choice, and it wasn't something that I understood until I saw the last episode, but Rue's addiction has been such a big part of the show in season 1 and season 2. And in season 3, it really takes a back seat. Yeah. And there's a couple mentions of whether she's using or not using throughout the season, but you have the sense that it is no longer the most meaningful battle that she's fighting in her life. And then in the last episode, it comes out of nowhere like a huge smack from on high. Was it intentional that you obscure?
It's like, is it intentional? The thing is that, and what I do, sometimes these guys do have like wild takes, especially about some like music stuff. But I do think that they're like thoughtful critics. So I have always appreciated the Popcast, even before they started focusing on interviews. I do just appreciate their commentary because I do think that they're thoughtful. I think that they at least like they're thinking about what they're saying. Unlike some people, unlike some critics, just fucking say whatever the hell they want, whether or not it even corresponds with the music that they're talking about. But I do also just appreciate them as interviewers because they are very good at like kind of implying that like your script doesn't totally make sense. Can you please explain it? But in doing it in a kind of gentle way, because what he's saying here is like, yeah, there was no real lead up to this. Like throughout the entire season, Rue has not been struggling with her addiction that we've seen. We've had some indications here and there that like she was California sober for a second, or there was her talking about being like depressed and stuff, but for the most part we haven't even seen her really be tempted to take any drugs until this one episode where she happens to take this painkiller that happens to be laced with fentanyl. And I guess that is like a relapse anyway, maybe she shouldn't have taken a painkiller in the fucking first place. But it's like he went out of his way to like sucker punch you with this, and it doesn't really make narrative sense. It just makes sense to him because he's like, oh, it's the most shocking thing that like I haven't had Rue struggling with her addiction this entire season, and then she's still gonna die of it. Like, fuck you.
This idea that Rue could still fall victim to her addiction at any moment because that's true to your experience of addiction, whether you're your own or others?
100%. I think that addictive personality is always underneath the surface. I thought in my head, she's not messing around with opiates. And in the end, she's, banged up. She hit herself in the face. Her hand got cut. She's looking at her hand and there's this pain there. And I always thought of it as like kind of a window into whatever pain is going on in her psyche. And she feels, okay, I'll just take one. And I always imagined it was the fentanyl that she had smuggled into the country in the first episode that ends up killing Tish, that, they saved whatever those ecstasy pills were and just kind of mix it with the Percocets.
You said a minute ago if the show was going to say something this season, and I wonder if you could think about what season 1 of the show said, what season 2 of the show said, and what season 3 of the show said. How do you think that message has changed? The shape of it has changed season to season.
Think about what you've done, Sam.
It's always said a similar thing. It's, here's the seduction of drugs, of sex. We shoot it.
But it's not saying the same thing because I don't think that Rue was seduced by drugs at this point. Like she took the Percocet because she was in physical pain. I'm not even convinced at this point that she would have continued taking them afterward. It's possible because that is a slippery slope if you're an addict to take painkillers like that. But like it didn't even seem like she was taking it to get high. So this idea that she like succumbed back to her addiction, I'm like, did she? Or was she just like killed? And especially, too, what I don't even understand is in the episode, it's somewhat implied, or at least I felt like it was implied, that Alamo did it on purpose, that he knew that Rue was working with the DEA, and so he laced her pills with something to kill her on purpose. But when Sam is talking about it, he never even mentions that motive at all. He never mentions that end of it. He only talks about like, yeah, fentanyl is really dangerous and being an addict is really dangerous and you can just kill you at any point. It's like, okay, but is that how Rue died? Did she succumb to her addictions or was she killed by Alamo?
Very kind of alluring way. And then we show the consequences of it. I always looked at it like the 3 steps of AA, right? The first season is, we admit that we're powerless over drugs and alcohol in our life is unmanageable. Second season is came to believe that only a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So you see there's these kind of moments of the church, of her kind of wrestling with the spiritual side of things, but it's very much the subtext of it. It takes a back seat. And even in the diner episode.
Ali, I don't believe in God.
Guess what? God doesn't give a fuck if you believe in him. He believes in you.
I don't know. That sounds good, but it doesn't really mean anything.
The third season is made a decision to submit our will and our lives to the care of God as we understand him. It's third step and third season.
Right.
That's a new element.
But it ends quite pessimistically.
I don't think it is as pessimistic. I mean, I don't know. Her at the table in the end, kind of, it's grace. There's a
I mean it's the sort of it's the bump. It's the post pessimism. But I feel like I guess I look in Ali's eyes in that moment, and even if he's feeling grateful or even if he's feeling engaged, like there's still something. I don't know. I feel like the hopelessness seems to be hovering a little bit behind his head.
Well, I mean, look, we live in a pretty fucked up, world. It's what Lexi says in that conversation with Cassie, where she says, she read the Bible, she didn't really understand it, but she does know people are always dying, and you just gotta go on.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think there's definitely a fragility there, but it's a renewal of sorts. Maybe if we can kind of get our shit together and take care of our loved ones and maybe believe in something a little greater than ourselves, then we can carve out a future.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about the revenge arc as well. So Ali finds Rue overdosed on his couch, and he immediately straps up and goes to work.
Well, he goes to AA.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. He has a
He goes
meeting.
to AA.
It's like he has to close the door to open the new one.
And express his anger.
There's a point, I don't know. I don't think he already said it, but let me see.
His death.
I see myself in every single one of these characters, and I have since the beginning. Even Jules in the psychiatric hospital in episode 4 of season 1. That was an experience that I just took from my own life at the age of 11. And so I've always tried to put myself, or pieces of myself or my life or experiences I've had, into all of these characters to make sure that there's a certain level of authenticity. But yeah, I mean, look, I understand where Ali's coming from. I mean, it's a place of, I think, deep pain. And him talking about empathy and the idea that, look, if you can have, empathy as, empathy for the addict, then can't you have empathy for the dealer? I think is a really interesting question, and something that I've certainly grappled with. I think that empathy without limits starts to lose its kind of moral shape.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he's coming up against, is at what point do you just say something is evil? If you're selling poison to kids and you're killing them, it's evil. And what do you do in that situation? How do you confront it? How do you deal with it?
Also, the notion of you, not simply as the creator of the show, but as an individual, as protector, and you've spoken previously about making sure Angus could go to rehab, HBO paid for it, maybe there are other people in the show as well in a similar situation. Is the protector part of you a dominant force in the creative writer director part, or do you try to keep those things separate? I
think life is such a gift, and to lose it that quickly just breaks my heart. And look, I can't help it. I mean, I sit down and I write, and I try to write from an emotional place as opposed to a kind of academic place. And I'm sure there's a large part of me that identifies with the protector, if that's what you're saying.
I think even you saying the preciousness of life is a thing that you are in your own mind trying to hold tight to. I wonder how many of the characters in the show are aware of the preciousness in life, and are you consciously trying
Very
to walk?
few.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
the body count is high in this season, in
right?
particular.
And so for a viewer, is part of what you're trying to demonstrate is your commitment to the preciousness of life by showing how easy it is to toss away.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
You mentioned having to rewrite what you thought was the initial ending of the show that you had worked on around 2023 in the writer's strike.
Yeah, not just the ending, but
the whole season.
Yeah.
Right? I wonder how much of that rewrite was practical, because Angus would no longer be in the season, and how much of it was personal, out of a sense of responsibility about the story you had to tell.
First and foremost, it was practical, and then I think I try to find meaning in what I'm about to do, whether it's writing, whether it's shooting, whether it's directing, editing. I try to make sure that it's moving or headed towards something that's fulfilling and matters to me.
I'm curious, why was sex work the right
I can't find it. He was somewhere in this episode. Maybe I even already played it, but didn't notice because I was reading the chat. But he specifically says that, like, if he had been an addict in the current day that he would be dead. Let me see if I can just find it from that. Oh, why is the transcript search so fucking useless at this point? Whatever. He believes that if he had been an addict in this day that he would just be dead. And it's like, what a sad thing to think that like all addicts in this generation are fucking doomed. That is so unreasonable. So unbelievably unreasonable because he's fucking paranoid about goddamn fentanyl. And yeah, fentanyl is scary. It is. He says that it's like the #1 killer of people under 50, which is not true, by the way. The #1 killer of people under 50 is just like accidental injury, which, oh, he says that in the behind the scenes. I feel like he said it in this. Maybe you're right. It probably was in the behind the scenes and not in this interview. But he says that it's the #1 killer of people under 50. The #1 killer of people under 50 is like accidental injury, which does include overdoses, which does include fentanyl overdoses, but it's not like the fentanyl covers the entirety of that accidental injury. Fucking crazy. But whatever. So he kills off Rue. And then there's still a fucking hour of the episode left. So now the show becomes about Ali. Ali is our main character now. A character who has been a side character the entire series. Who we just got like flashbacks of from his time being an addict the last episode. Now he is our main character. I like what this person says, the finale randomly being Coleman Domingo Emmy bait. It really kind of is. And it sucks too because it's like, okay, yeah, is Coleman Domingo doing a good job? Sure, he's a very good actor. But I don't feel any connection to it because first of all, I'm pissed off. When I was watching the episode, I had my laptop sitting there. I had my notes app out. I was making notes throughout the show like I normally do. Just like, you know, like putting in like, now we're in this scene to create like the structure. Once it got to the scene with Rue's death, I stopped making notes. I was just so fucking checked out. I immediately opened up Adobe and started making the thumbnail because I was like, I need him arrested. So at this point, like the stuff that happens after this, I have a good idea of what happens because I was like half paying attention as I was watching the episode, and also like I went back onto Twitter and was like seeing what people said. So like I have a decent grasp on the things that happened afterward, but I was really not interested. Just completely uninterested. And the idea that like maybe Coleman will get an Emmy nomination, it's possible because his performance is fine, but I'm like, it's a performance of something that doesn't make sense in this show. Why is Coleman Domingo's character now the main guy? And then I saw this person say, Sam Levinson making Coleman Domingo wrap up Rue's storyline because he's the only one left in the cast who knows how to act. Zendaya knows how to act very well. There was no reason for her to get killed off 30 minutes into the episode of a 90-minute episode. At the very least, he could have allowed Rue to survive to the end of the episode. Or maybe I'm fine with her even dying 30 minutes in if the rest of the episode is like her family mourning her, but it's not. It becomes about Ali's character now on a revenge arc. So it starts with him in like an AA meeting where he is doing this whole, he does the thing that like Sam is doing in that interview where he's like, are bad people, is it okay to have empathy for addicts? Because if we have empathy for addicts, then we have to have empathy for dealers, and though the dealers are doing something evil, it's like, what the fuck is happening? This is now becoming a debate about like good and evil, which is so reductive and so stupid. And so he's in the AA meeting. There's this entire monologue about like fentanyl specifically. it goes to him in his house and he's sawing off a shotgun and he's about to take it to Alamo's place of business. And then we get a minute of Jules painting something and seeming to be sad about Rue's death. No dialogue, no lines. Hunter Schafer says not a word in this episode. It is 1 minute of screen time, and it's just her painting and looking sad. And this is what the painting looks like, which I think Hunter Schafer actually did paint, and it's nice. I'm not much of a painting person, so maybe other people are into it, but I'm like, I just don't even, like, this is the tribute that I get. This is the tribute to Rue, to Jules' like girlfriend from the first 2 seasons that she just had a fight with. The last interaction that she had with Rue, she slapped her across the face and was just generally cruel to her. Oh, she looks sad though. Fuck you. The fuck? And also, what was the point of her character? Jules still in that damn apartment painting. Genuinely, what was the point of her character this season? I don't fucking know. And also, what was the deal with all that stuff that we saw of her in the sugar daddy? It seemed like, as this person says, I thought her sugar daddy was going to end up a serial killer or some shit. Yeah, I thought that there was like tension building to something with that character. And then he, I think, is in it for like a second and like kisses Jules on the head as she's painting or looking sad or something. I don't even remember. Maybe he's not even in it. I don't even know. But it doesn't matter. He adds nothing to the plot. Leslie is shown in the episode when Rue is having her like fantasy thing. She has no lines of dialogue. Ali calls her at one point and is like, I've got bad news, but we hear nothing from her after her fucking daughter died. Rue's sister is not in the episode at all. We don't get anyone's actual reaction to her death. We see like a small scene of Lexi and Cassie at one point, but we don't see anyone really reacting and really mourning Rue except for Ali. Except for a fucking side character. As this person pointed out, oh shit. Lori's fucking parrot got an actual funeral during the show. Rue and Nate both died. Do not get a funeral. And Nate, it kind of makes sense because it seems like Cassie and Maddie don't tell anyone that they know Nate is dead. He's just like missing. So, okay, I guess it makes sense. At some point, though, you would have a funeral if someone was missing. Once they've been missing for long enough, you're like, I guess they're dead. They would get pronounced dead. So you would still have a funeral. But like Rue, I'm assuming people know that Rue's dead because Ali calls her mom. And I don't get to see a funeral for Rue? Unfucking believable. Then it goes back to Cassie and Lexi in Cassie's house. And I guess now Cassie is running like a content house or something for OnlyFans girls.
Are you sure you don't want to just sell this place?
I owe more than it's worth, but I think that's a good thing. Anything for the girls.
Oh, and by the way, Natasha Leon tweeted this clip of the show. I'm like, why? She didn't even say anything. I don't get it.
The concept, everything for the girls. Photo shoots, videos, hair, makeup. In exchange, we just charge room and board and take a cut of everything they make. The only thing we're missing is a storyteller.
And that's me?
So, like, I guess we're supposed to think that she's making a content house for these OnlyFans girls. But, like, that only makes sense. Why didn't she actually join the content house with Brandon so that we could have seen her, like, get the idea for a content house or something? Which I still don't even fully understand what content houses do. So, like, that would have been actually kind of interesting if you showed her with Brandon and, like, she kind of learns, like, how they take these creators' money or whatever, and then she ends up doing it to these other girls. Like, that would be kind of interesting. But you didn't show any of that. Like, she signed the contract with Brandon, and then we saw nothing of that afterward. Okay, fine, whatever. Her house is still fucking hideous, by the way. It's like distracting, as this tweet says, and on top of all of this, Cassie's house is ugly. Every time they show it, I'm like, why is it so goddamn yellow? Every part of it. And then so there's Maddie. She's got to go back to Alamo's club because now she's like a slave for Alamo. She's being trafficked by him, and Cassie is like, it's okay, just pretend you like him.
Don't wait up for me. I'll be late. It'll be easier if you pretend to like him.
Just fucking dumb. Dumb as hell. When she gets in the car with Bishop, I did want to show this, they do a wider shot, but I couldn't find one on Twitter. I just found this shot, but they do a wide shot of the house, and it actually, the outside of the house looks kind of cool, and it does kind of look like a dollhouse, but it's just like the interior. Like, you just gotta get rid of all that yellow. Get rid of it. But then they have a scene with Lexi and Cassie. That's just, first of all, Cassie is a dick, and in a way that doesn't even make sense.
How I left things. I could have left things better.
She was a drug addict.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, cool. And then Lexi starts reading. She mentions that Rue left this Bible, and this is where it just becomes like full Christian propaganda.
You ever read the Bible?
No, why?
Rue left it on the couch. I'd wake up in the morning to go to work, make a cup of coffee. There it was, just looking at me.
Menacingly.
What do you mean looking at you?
Just sitting there. But that felt like a worse omen. That didn't do anything, and I still had this creepy Bible in my apartment, so I was like, fuck it, I guess I'll read it.
And what did it say?
A lot of things. It's kind of incredible, actually. Like, you'd think it'd be boring, but...
No, it is. It's boring. I've tried to read the Bible before because I know it's, like, important or whatever. But it is boring. It is so long.
There's a lot of violence and sex.
There can be a lot of violence and sex and it can still be boring, which... For example... this fucking show that somehow thinks that, like, just adding a bunch of nudity and violence and shit makes it interesting, but it doesn't.
So there's a new Bible?
No, the same Bible.
So the old one?
Yeah.
Yeah, making a Jewish girl do this whole monologue, too, is so weird. I think even Ali, at some point was Muslim, and he becomes, like, weird Christian pilled by the end. The whole thing is very weird.
Was it any good?
It's kind of beautiful. A little confusing, but fascinating, and I don't know, it just had me thinking about a lot of stuff.
Like what?
Just that certain things aren't my fault. Not that I'm without faults, but
yeah, keep telling yourself that, Sam. Sometimes the ultimate message of a TV show is that the Bible is awesome. Yeah, for some reason. So then we go to Maddie in the club, which, first of all, Bishop is driving her, and they're, like, having a whole moment. He's got a cute little dog there, too.
Snowflake.
That's cute.
I agree.
So you got yourself a girlfriend.
It's a boy.
You give him this haircut? I wouldn't have thought of you as a poodle man.
Why?
Is that a poodle? I don't know. But okay, so we're supposed to believe that, like, Bishop is bonding with Maddie or something? I don't even know. At this point, again, I'm mostly just pissed off, so I'm half paying attention. I've been zoned out since that scene. Yeah. This is, like, how I felt. But I was also making my thumbnail, so I was just sitting there pissed off, getting a photo of Sam Levinson, being like, fuck this man. And yeah, how it feels to watch season 3. It's like I'm just sitting there, I'm just a dumb little dog. No offense to the dog, but you know, it's a dog. Just sitting there, not even totally understanding what's going on, but there's strippers around, there's sex everywhere. I'm just like, save me, please. So then we go to this scene, and I hear this scene happening in the background. And I'm like, what is even going on at this point? Alamo is talking to Maddie, and he's talking about the power of pussy, and how even though he makes all this money, he's still a slave to the vagina, to the thing between women's legs. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You killed the main character. I should be mourning her right now. I should be watching her friends and family mourn her. And instead, I'm hearing Alamo do this fucking incel shit that I think the show is, like, sympathizing with to an extent. Where it's like, wow, he has so much power, but he's still just a victim of pussy. What? Listen to this. And it's so gross, too.
So fucked, devoured every shape and size. But there I was, staring up at Kitty's slit.
Kitty's slit? He's talking about the other stripper. How he's, like, so enamored by her vagina.
When it consumed me, this fear. I might run the club. Pussy still runs me. So what the fuck I've been doing all this time?
You've been building a business.
What? For who?
For you. To be free.
Free?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just another slave with a little more money in my hand. So
Just another slave with a little more money in his hand. A white man wrote that. A white man by himself. And this is another thing, too. In the podcast, they bring up the fucking slurs in the show. And here's Sam defending himself.
And what is this discomfort I'm feeling for? And that's something you've really leaned into and pushed up against as I think the Euphoria snowball has grown and people have dug their heels in about this guy is a sicko. Like whoever this person is,
which is
who
also
is
funny,
doing and writing this is a sicko. And you seem to have said, oh yeah, watch me get way sicker. This third season includes essentially every image and slur that you're not supposed to think about or repeat or say or do.
Why not?
Well, and that's my question for you, which is, why is it interesting or important to you to do those things on screen in this medium?
Because it's a reflection of the world. I mean, that's what's interesting to me is, you know, you've got characters who are, you know, Nazis and fentanyl dealers who are dealing fentanyl that's killing people. But what certain audience members get upset about is not the fentanyl that's killing people. It's the fact that they said the N-word. That seems very strange to me because one, they would say it, and two, they're doing way worse things than just saying
We're not mad at them for saying it. We think it's weird that you keep writing it by yourself. You're a white man who keeps writing the N-word. Even in moments where it's like, I don't even know that came out completely naturally for some of these characters. But it's like, you got excited by the fact that there are black characters in the show that can say it because they have the pass, and then you put these Nazi characters in it that say it too because they're Nazis, and it's like, but it was you.
N-word. It's an odd gripe, and fixation. It's part of a larger kind of trend in storytelling that's happened, I think, over the last 10 years, where there's a sort of a utopian mode of storytelling, where people would like characters to represent this kind of the most politically evolved versions of themselves, so that it can impart some kind of lesson. It's really hurt the medium of film and television, and and worse, it's dishonest.
Yeah, the world is coarse.
Yeah,
the world is coarse and complicated, and that tendency. I sometimes can't help but think of after-school specials in the 80s where everything is oriented towards a lesson or a value set, which then, of course, made people rebel against the value set and the lessons.
Right. It's also important to see people make bad decisions on screen, because it allows us to dip our toe into worlds that we're not necessarily in, to experience things, to wrestle with moral questions and human behavior and desire.
But there is no real human behavior in your show, is the thing. And like, I agree to an extent that like there are people on the internet who want to like moralize everything and who want to, whatever he said, like have utopian storytelling where nothing bad ever happens to the characters. I don't think that is like that much of a problem when you really zoom out. Like, I don't think most people are engaging in that kind of criticism, but there are people on the internet who are doing that. That doesn't apply to your show, though, because it's just not well written. I'm completely fine. I was fine with Rue dying in the show. I just wanted it to feel meaningful in the universe of the show, and it doesn't. Like, you just wrote it bad. I hate when people do this shit too. The same thing with like Game of Thrones, when people were criticizing the ending of Game of Thrones and the fact that like Daenerys died, and they're like, oh, I was gonna say Euphoria again. Game of Thrones has been killing people the entire time, and now you're upset that this one character died. And like, no, that's not what I'm upset about. I'm upset about it being badly written. I'm fine with it having negative things happening. I'm even fine with like the slurs being in it with like the Nazis, but it didn't even feel like there was any real commentary there. It just felt really sloppy. It felt like you were just like taking an opportunity to write this. And that's the thing too, where it's like, if you really want your show to represent like real life issues, you need other writers. So much of the problem with the show is the fact that he is the only writer and only director. He doesn't have a writing staff. And it's like, you just need other people around you who have other perspectives and who can add things to the story, because you can't represent every perspective. You're just one fucking dude. You don't know everything. You don't understand everything. You need other people around who can offer another perspective and who can fill out the story and make it feel like something that actually does have its own universe, which it doesn't. Stupid. Stupid. Going back to the show, though. First of all, we spend a lot of time in the club. No magic. Rosalia is completely gone from this episode for no reason. Apparently, there was a tease at one point that Rosalia had written a song for the show that is not in the show. Where did it go? And what was the point of Rosalia's character? I mean, she did a few things, like she contributed to the plot in some ways, but I thought that she was actually gonna I thought she was gonna be more meaningful than this. Especially the stuff with like, what was the plot line with the neck thing? That never even went anywhere. She did a good job though. She did a really good job, and I hope that she does more acting stuff. because she was very good. And this was such a waste of her talent. And then also, what happened to Juana? For real, and I'm already seeing people try to defend that by being like, oh, well, clearly she presumably got let go because of their money issues. Do y'all need to be told everything? So she ceased to exist? We couldn't see her get fired. We couldn't see, like, her dealing with consequences for that. This is exactly what I was fucking saying. In the first goddamn 2 episodes that she was in, and then she stopped being in every episode after that, I was like, I just don't think that they're going to treat this character as a character. I don't think that she's like a real person to Sam. I think that he's just treating her as like a joke. And she does her little like immigrant America my dream thing, and she's not going to get any more development after that. She's just going to be the housekeeper. And I saw people being like, no, she's probably going to be in the show more. Maybe she's like actually going to be like a substantial character, and she's just saying that because she's like tricking Sydney Sweeney's character. She's just being nice to her boss, but we'll see her like sabotage them later. Never was in the show again after that episode. That was it. Or maybe she was in it like one more time. But then her character just disappears. Like she doesn't exist. If she's not Nate and Cassie's housekeeper, she's not a person. That's exactly what I was fucking talking about. The show doesn't see her as a human. Also, where the fuck did Eric Dane go? This was like one of his, if not his actual last role. And he was in the show for like a joke. Also no Dominic Fike, which I'm fine with. I did not need any more of his character. But Sam had teased it. He had teased that that Dominic Fike was going to be in the show, that Elliot was going to be in the show, and also that Nika King was going to be in the show, which she was for like a second, but she got one line. And then Vinnie Hacker, who I think was maybe in like the background of something. What was the point of all of this hype when you're not going to add it to the show? But then we spend so much time. There is so much of a focus on Kitty's BBL, on her ass after her BBL. Sam Levinson is actually useless because how did we miss out on a funeral scene where all the characters could have been together but somehow had time for 10 scenes about Kitty's botched BBL? And I wouldn't say there were 10 scenes about Kitty's botched BBL, but for whatever reason the camera just kept going back to it. It just kept showing her ass looking ridiculous. For what reason? But so Alamo shows up, or not Alamo, I'm sorry. Ali shows up at Alamo's club with his sawed-off shotgun, dressed in like a military uniform too. And then it becomes the Ali show. It becomes his fucking show.
Rue.
So you got a score to settle.
Something like that.
Just utterly ridiculous. And then there's a shootout scene, which hopefully YouTube doesn't get mad at me for the violence, but it's fake violence, it's fake blood.
I'll see you in hell, you mother.
Oh yeah, and this too. So Alamo's got a gun. He's pointing it at Ali, and then there's no bullets in the gun because apparently Bishop took them all out. Why? You can put 2 and 2 together. You can come up with an explanation if you want to. But the show doesn't ever actually like show you. You have to think about it way too much. And I think that's the thing too, is that a lot of people think, the people who are out here complaining about media literacy or whatever, seem to think that like TV shows are good and you're a good viewer if you're always filling in the gaps. that the writer has left. If you can come up with an explanation for why he did what he did, then you can't complain about the show not actually, like, showing you the characters and their motives. Because I still don't understand Bishop enough as a character for this to make sense.
I'll see you in hell, you mother.
And then they go through all this, and there's Coleman Domingo's character. He's now the hero. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? This was a side character. And I get it, like, sometimes side characters can come to the forefront. But after Rue's death, it just doesn't feel like the time. And my biggest question is, why did Bishop take out the bullets? And you can see people in here trying to come up with explanations. They're like, do y'all watch the show with y'all's eyes closed? He hated him, and it was obvious. Him telling Rue about the snake story was about him. He was going to betray Alamo. Is it that obvious, really? Or is that just an explanation that you can provide, that he never liked Alamo? Then why did he do so much shit for Alamo in the first fucking place? He had opportunities to kill Alamo. He's been in rooms with Alamo before where it was just the two of them. He easily could have just shot him right then. And he didn't. He waited until another guy came in and then he just took the bullets out of Alamo's gun. Why? Why was he carving people up for Alamo before then? And especially the scenes that he was having with Rue made it seem like he was suspicious of Rue for Alamo. That he actually, like, was more protective of Alamo. And now suddenly I'm supposed to be like, actually he was on Rue's side the entire time. Fuck. And then he really liked Rue. If you were paying attention, you would have seen that. Pay attention to his interactions with Rue. I did pay attention to his interactions with Rue. And he didn't seem to like her. He seemed to like Maddie, so I can kind of get that with Maddie. But I'm like, I still don't even think he spent enough time with Maddie for that to really be his motive. But here's what the actor had to say. He said, Bishop didn't agree with a lot of what Alamo did, but it was a job for him. I think what Alamo did to Rue was the final straw for Bishop. Since fucking when? He's also having that conversation with Maddie in the car. Rue was a bridge too far, and he's like, I promise I'm not going to let you get to Maddie. Since when is he protective of these women? Since when? And why specifically Rue, and why specifically Maddie? Why not any of the other girls that he has fucking killed? Or raped, or anything else? Oh my god. But then now Bishop, he goes to Maddie after Alamo's dead and he says, can I give you a ride home? And what am I supposed to be like happy about that? I'm supposed to be like, oh my god, he cares about her. Can I have at least seen their relationship develop? Can I have at least seen something between them, like throughout the entire show, that would make me think like, oh, he actually does deeply care for this woman? And also, am I supposed to be, like, rooting for Maddie and Bishop? The man who, like, fucking carved up the bouncer with a goddamn turkey knife? Don't get in the car with him. I also saw some people explaining it by saying that, like, he's an animal lover. He was really upset when Alamo made him kill Lori's bird. And he's been developing, like, a resentment toward Alamo ever since. And I'm like, well, then why did he kill the bird? Alamo wasn't there. He could have just said that he killed the bird and then never actually did it. And then just killed Alamo. Am I really supposed to believe that he's such an animal lover? That this is all a result of him killing a fucking bird? That he willingly poisoned. Oh my fucking god. Sam Levinson so desperately wanted to make a Western action movie and just use Euphoria to do it, because what is all this? Yeah, that is what it is. It's like he just wanted to make a new show. Yeah, I don't even mind the idea of shipping them, even if he's awful. Like, I love an awful person who has a soft spot for a single person kind of ship, but this just wasn't there on the show. Yeah, exactly. Like, if they had developed it, I would maybe be more okay with it. I'd be like, okay, yeah, Maddie, get in the car. Even if he's killed a few people, it's fine. But yeah, you have to, like, add the tension and you have to, like, build the relationship to the point that I would believe that Maddie has feelings for him and that he has feelings for her, but you just don't see it. You don't see it. You're supposed to just infer it. You're supposed to be told he likes this girl and then go like, okay, he likes her. That's not what good storytelling is. And then this is my big thing is like, didn't this fucking play used to be about us? Yeah. I've never seen a show do this. Like my video about Desperate Housewives from now like 2 years ago, the thing that I was talking about in that video is like media that's directed at women oftentimes doesn't get taken seriously. And sometimes the lack of respect that those shows get with Desperate Housewives, with various other soap operas, General Hospital, One Life to Live, all that, they don't get respect, even when they're like doing stuff that is actually like really kind of thoughtful and the stuff that like has a perspective, stuff that's really artistic in relation to the medium. They don't get taken seriously. They get just completely dismissed culturally as just mindless entertainment. And then eventually those shows, they have a tendency to just kind of slip into slop. They slip into misogynistic tropes because the showrunners themselves don't take the show seriously anymore because they're not getting rewarded for it. So they just start writing a bunch of fucking bullshit. And that's what happened with General Hospital and the rape plotline. That's what happened with One Life to Live and the rape plotline. That's what happened with Desperate Housewives and the Eddie incel plotline. But even still, even with those shows, even when they slip into misogyny and they like make plot lines that are directly contradictory to the themes of previous seasons and previous episodes, they still do seem to understand who their audience is. Like, it's misogyny, but it's misogyny for women. This show became misogyny for men. And it really did feel, especially in the last, like, hour of this episode, that Sam Levinson just decided, fuck it. All the main characters are men now. We're just gonna watch a fucking shootout with Bishop and Alamo and Ali for no reason. This was a show that started for the girls and the gays. That was the audience. Those were the main characters. There were male characters. There was Fez, there was Nate, but Nate was a villain. Fez was kind of a side character. And then there were some other people, there was Elliot, who nobody cared about, but he was there. Cassie had another boyfriend at one point. There were men that were around, but all the main characters were women. And they all got sidelined in the weirdest, most disrespectful ways. Like, this was the cast. This is who the show was supposed to be centered around. And then we just watched Ali have a shootout with two men who were introduced this season. I've never seen a show completely abandon its audience like this, completely abandon its plot, abandon its characters for no reason. For absolutely no reason. And then it ends. Ali then goes back to the, like, I don't know, Amish, they're not Amish, but like this, like, Christian house that Rue visited in the first season. He goes back, he tells these people that Rue has died. He refers to her as his daughter.
How can I help you? My daughter stayed here a while back. She said it was the most peaceful place she'd ever been.
Ruby?
Yeah.
How is she?
She's in a better place.
That's more of a reaction than we got from her actual fucking friends and her actual family. And like, okay, is it a little bit touching that he refers to Rue as his daughter, considering how like close they were and how much he cared about her journey to sobriety? Sure, that's nice. But also, she has an actual family. She has an actual mother who I do not even see dealing with her death at all. Cool. Ali is referring to her as his daughter. Can I see the woman that actually raised her, please? Can I see her reaction? Can I see her sister's reaction? Why am I with this family that I saw for like, what, 5 minutes in episode 1 of this season? I don't know these people. As this person says, I do have an issue with this scene of Rue's second family being the ones to mourn the loss of Rue with Ali. To use her mother as her final moments. Have Ali speed dial her to let her know she just lost her baby, but for us as the audience to not see them all mourn her loss together just isn't okay. And then they're in the house, and Ali is like looking down the table at this fucking white family that we don't know. Who are these people's names? I have no idea. And there's Rue at the end of the table. This Last Supper shot with a bunch of white people she met once. Sam just be doing shit. She should have been her family and friends. Yeah. What is this? What is this? And then it ends with this zoom out of their house on this ranch with an American flag and Rue's voiceover saying, "May God bless us all." This Republican-ass show. I know Sam voted for Trump. I know he did. I fucking know it. I have never seen anything this disrespectful. And as this person says, what makes me really irate is this season didn't need to fucking exist. Nothing that happened this season added any value to what happened with the characters in the first seasons. Sam Levinson dragged this out for 4 years just to make a whole new show and completely fuck it all up. Yeah. The show could have ended with season 2. There was already so much debate about if season 3 was even going to exist. And he decided to make it, and he decided to just make a new show. For what reason? Page 6. This is the same person who did the episode before where she was talking about Nate's death. So shout out to Lauren Sarner. She kind of nailed it. She said that this is worse than Game of Thrones and Stranger Things, which it's hard to say because I really did hate that Game of Thrones finale. I didn't watch the Stranger Things finale. I only watched up to like season 3. So I can't speak on that, but like this was pretty bad. I don't know. I'm gonna have to like sit with it for a minute to say if I think it was worse than Game of Thrones, but it's worse in the way of like at least Game of Thrones was always kind of misogynistic and always kind of a show for dudes. And so the fact that it got like extra misogynistic at the end, it's like, all right, I guess whatever. Euphoria is just crazy in the way of like you started with a show centered around like queer people and young girls and then ended with like a bunch of straight dudes having a shootout. I can't even understand how you got to that point. But they said she doesn't even go out in the gang war between season 3 drug kingpins Lori and Alamo. Rue takes pills from Alamo and overdoses on fentanyl. Her distraught mentor Ali finds her unresponsive on his couch. Ali later gets revenge. He puts on his old military uniform, shows up at Alamo's strip club with a gun, and fatally shoots Alamo. This takes up the majority of the finale's screen time, along with some unnecessary action from Lori and her redneck gang, who get apprehended by the DEA and cops. Lori ties a noose around her neck and throws herself off a building rather than get arrested. So even if you were enjoying season 3's dubious focus on Cassie's OnlyFans career, you barely even get that. Cassie's screen time is surprisingly minimal. Yeah, I would have even liked it more if like Cassie went in there with a fucking gun. That would have made more, it wouldn't have made sense with the character, but it would have felt better as a viewer that like, okay, this is a character that I've actually been following the entire time. The finale spends more time zooming in on Kitty's derriere than it spends on some original Euphoria characters like Jules. That sounds like an exaggeration. It's not. The show ends with Cassie seemingly now living in her and Nate's tacky mansion with Maddie and her sister Lexi. To the extent that anybody gets a happy ending, it seems to be that these three women living together in a weird house with yellow decor. Yeah, it's just too much yellow. I think the house even would be kind of cute if they just toned down the yellow. Nate doesn't even get a funeral. Cassie lied to Lexi about what happened to Nate. Lexi thinks he mysteriously vanished and may turn up someday. It's telling that Zendaya and Jacob Elordi were the standout stars of seasons 1 and 2, shining so brightly that the show helped them become two of the biggest global superstars today, and they're barely in the finale. He only appears via a photo, and she's only in about 20 minutes of it. That says everything about what season 3 turned into, a completely different and much worse show. It's merely an excuse for Levinson to do a Tarantino pastiche with all the writing depth of a stoned college freshman. Get him, girl. Sam Levinson, don't make another show. Ever. Ever. No more. HBO has confirmed that there will be no more seasons of Euphoria. Thank fucking God. Thank God. And again, I don't want to see anything else from Sam Levinson. Ever. I've had it. You had a shot. He got 200. That's why I put in the thumbnail the $200 million reward. That's how much money they gave him to make this season. $200 million. I don't believe it. Yeah, I know. I'm suspicious of it too. I feel like they're going to try to do a spin-off or something. Like, they won't maybe call it Euphoria, but it'll be like Faye and Wayne and... yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure that HBO is done with him. I think they're going to give him another show. But you're going straight to fucking hell, Sam. And however many times you read that Bible, it will not save you. This needs to end. Give Petra Collins her own show. Well, anyway, that's it. That's our recap. Fuck Euphoria. Fuck HBO for allowing him to do this. Fuck them for giving him $200 million to do it. And fuck Sam Levinson. Obviously. Forever. I will be gone for the next hour and a half, and then I'll come back for the members stream. I'll talk about my Vegas trip. I'll talk about some internet drama. And then also that movie, the Netflix documentary, The Crash, the true crime thing. So if you want to come back to hear about that, come back to the member stream, $3.99 a month, or YouTube will allow you to do 1 month free, and you can cancel anytime. So yeah, see some of you guys later. Goodbye.